I think that's a very interesting question, because I feel that we are actually undergoing the biggest change in education in modern time. That will change how we teach in the schools. It will change universities. And there are many reasons for that. It's about technology. We are going from Gutenberg to Gates, or even from Gutenberg to Zuckerberg. We young people are getting information quite different than they used to, simply because in society the information technology have done such a revolution. And so when young people, for example, get information, it's from internet, it's from social media, from their mobile devices, and so on. So when they live in their free time in 2014, and then they come to universities to study, it cannot remain 1965. Things have moved on, they are moving on, and they move on for the future. And this, I think, is something we all have to bear in mind, irrespectively if we are professors, politicians, or parents, and students, of course. The future curriculum are also going to change. It needs to change in this landscape we are talking about. And it's going to be more outcome based rather than what the professor says, you know. So it was a very producer-centric curriculum, the producer being the professor. But I think now it's going to become more consumer-oriented, you know, the curriculum. And it's also going to be much more broader. Less, you know, learning facts and so on, because you have the facts are already there, you know, electronically. You go to your computer, you press, and you will see it. And one very interesting aspect is that the flow of information doubles every 5 years, even shorter today. So that means between 2014 and 29, 5 years, we have gathered as much information than before 2009, you know, back thousands of years. It's mind-boggling. So we cannot teach all these facts to students, because then a bachelor will take 30 years to do. So it's impossible, you know, it's absolutely impossible. So therefore, we have to leave all many of the facts, not all facts, but many of the facts, you know, to the self-centered learning, and the tutor, the professor is more a coach in the learning process, criticizing, enhancing, and all this. But absolutely true that the curriculum also becoming more broader, you know. You maybe have 2 majors, or you have more minors and so on. It's more interdisciplinary. So if you learn something about environment, it's not only civil engineering. It may be civil engineering, biology, sociology, urban planning, complexity, and so on. So you see, it's, again, you see this picture of a very dynamic situation. I think it's going to be more accessible, actually, because with the Professor iPad and other things, and the flipped classroom and so on, I think that increases the accessibility to learning, not the other way around. And rightly managed, the international interactions also should do that. So this, in my book, is not an issue, actually. Of course, it's going to be expensive, cost money to turn all many of the classrooms to this new technology. But I think that's an investment that Singapore and other countries have to do in order to stay clear for the 21st century. I
think generally, 80% of the population tends to look at education within a very formalized system and structure. We are told, that the sciences, tend to be much more structured, and that's academic. And what might be deemed as the humanities and the arts tend to be the softer skills. I think it's a false divide. It's fundamentally a false divide, and we need to break away from those kinds of divides and really start to look at the accumulation of knowledge, the inquiry in all systems and processes, and find those relationships across all the art forms and subject forms. So no one could say that the sciences don't need a history. No one could say mathematics does not need a philosophy. No one could say engineering does not need the proclivities of a painterliness to designing a bridge. So I think we need to break away these boundaries and find a wonderful ecology to bring ideas into the classroom so that people can draw from all of this. I was reading somewhere, it was a Harvard educationist, I think it's Elliot Eisner, who said that, children stop learning at the age of 7. And do you know why? They go to school, right? And in that sense, that's the reality, because you stop learning and you're being told to learn. You're told that these are the things that you need to start to collect and go through a set of pipe, a feeder of information, and you collect it, you get tested on it, you collect it, you get tested on it, and just move on, right? And in the sense, we are all drilled into that, and that's really very much the 20th century education. And one of the things I always tell, I'm being a provost in an arts college, where you're dealing with people dealing with different vocabularies and sensibilities and ideologies, I always say that, I'm a 20th century trained person training the 21st century artist. And all my textbooks are absolutely irrelevant. So what can I give you? I can give you a place to have an open mind. I can definitely give you an opportunity to really travel and see the world. Could be from your bedroom, through the internet, through the conversations you have with people, but you must be able to be purposefully looking for a particular point of view, and through that means try to collect the different kinds of learnings that might come with it. And ask that kind of important question, because ultimately we are learning in order to imagine the kind of world that we want to live in. That's what we do. It is not, we are not learning in order to imagine a world that someone else wants. That is the industrial condition, right? But today we are trying to imagine what kind of world will be the 21st century. And we are in a very, very troublesome moment. You are dealing with terrorism, you're dealing with migration, you're dealing with disappearances, you're dealing with a whole set of different conditions. And then what kind of education would a young person today need in a condition that's very, very complex and different? And you are having medical conundrums and diseases emerging that we've never heard of. What is happening? So we need new ways of looking at the world. We need to become, I suppose, new explorers. And I think we have to go, and if at all, we might learn from the 17th to 18th century, people did have, the Europeans and whoever, or even, the Mongols and everyone, they had an inquisitiveness. I think we need to re-establish inquisitiveness in the classroom.